Okay. So look, my name is Eve Mulcahy, and my background is I graduated from a food science degree from UCC in 2010, and I went on subsequently to do a PhD in food science for a number of years. And after that, I actually worked in industrial research roles across functional and nutritional applications. I then moved to join Glanbia Ireland about 4 years ago as a product manager. And it's a really interesting role because it incorporates strategy, customer led innovation, project management, and science all in the one pool. And then I look after the range of ingredients, their protein range of ingredients. And really high protein foods has been a growing trend for several years, driven by health conscious consumers seeking out foods that support more active lifestyle. So it's a really interesting, evolving category to look after. So I'm basically a scientist converted into a product manager over the last number of years of my career.
So you've an incredibly rich background, or educationally. I suppose, was there a reason why you picked this program over other programs?
So the reason why I picked the innovation and design thinking postgraduate diploma is I really wanted to dip my toe into the design thinking world. So I'm a trained scientist by nature and a trained project manager, but I was always really interested in what I perceived as the crystal ball of design thinking. So I knew about it. I knew roughly what it kind of focused on in terms of the human-centered nature of the principles of design thinking, but I really wanted to learn more. And I was moving into a role that worked more on the innovation side of things. So the fuzzy front end, a place where problems are still evolving, the solution isn't always known. And I wanted to gain a better appreciation for those kind of design thinking processes and principles. And really when I first started the diploma, I was very much focused on, okay, well, teach me the process of design thinking. And then throughout the course of the diploma, I kind of gathered a much richer understanding of what design thinking and innovation actually could mean. And it was much broader than a 1, 2, 3 process. And it was to gain this appreciation for the whole world of human-centered design and focusing on, I suppose, customers and the problem space rather than jumping straight into the solutions to really figure out the right solution and the right problem basically to design for.
Yeah, very interesting. And Eve, is there some, I suppose, elements of what you learned on the program that you feel you can bring back into your organization?
Yes, there is. Look, and one of the elements I think it's about being comfortable in the problem space. And I think some of the key learnings for me from the experience of the PG dip was around getting past maybe even your own ideas, getting a view that's more human centered. Don't be restricted necessarily by your own knowledge, and the kind of you're permitted to explore in a way that's more open, I would say, than a traditional project management style and more agile. And really, it's about spending time with the real people in their real environments, with interviews of people who are, users of whatever it is that you're trying to design for, and identifying other users to gain a kind of broader and different perspective. Really, for me, that's what it kind of boiled down to in terms of like mastering the point of view. And then it's about prototyping. So it's about an element of you're not always going to get the exact problem statement, but you have to go and test and trial, and low fidelity prototypes and testing them with user cohorts give you such a rich wealth of knowledge, and then allowing yourself to iterate along that process. So they're kind of the key things that I think that any industry could take from this course, and really going through that both from the projects that we undertook within the diploma as part of a broader team, and the individual projects that you work on for the end, the second semester of the diploma.
Yeah, Eve, you have a very busy job, you have a very busy role, and I know you're very passionate about that job, that role. How easy was it to fit in, a program, an educational program, while working, in that type of environment?
Yeah, look, fitting in. it's always about how passionate you are about it. And I think the more passionate you are about something, the more time that you have to carve out. It is definitely an undertaking, and I wouldn't take that away from the diploma. You do have to dedicate time and weekends and evenings to the course. But I found that the time that you dedicated to the course paid back in dividend. And really, again, one of the key learnings for me, having been the first group to go through the course, is that building the network within the course and bouncing ideas off each other and setting up nearly mini tutorial groups really helps bring the team along so that you can bounce ideas off each other and work clever in terms of the time that you put into it to make the most out of it. So if you're going to dedicate an hour to your project in the evening, make sure that it's the most beneficial hour that you can possibly put into it. And that's a way to kind of manage the time for the course. The course does allow you to dip your toe in something new and something fresh. For me personally, it was around design thinking principles, which is such a transferable skill from a career perspective, that I would highly recommend it. I know there's often buzzwords put in around design thinking, but really it's how we're going to move forward from industry perspective, from my point of view at least anyway, around innovation. So I think it's so well worth the time that it takes to complete out the diploma and the coursework associated with it.
Obviously, the first run happened slap bang in the middle of COVID, but we've also spoken about, the relationships that were built up among the participants on the program. I know you've been very vocal about calling out the benefits of those relationships. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. And look, I think you can kind of approach any course with a little bit of cynicism in terms of you put in what you get out. And I would definitely, when I started, I have to admit, I was one of those people. I was there to do the course and finish it off. And that was my aim and my ambition. And really, as the course went along and as we broke up into projects, noting that this was in the middle of a pandemic, so it was middle of COVID, during our strictest lockdowns, we had to work on both team projects, and we were encouraged as part of the diploma to work together during the class hours or to brainstorm around ideas and activities. And really, the network that was built up within the diploma was something I feel like personally got me through it. It allowed me to probably be more open and honest than what I would with a very large class. And it helped me learn as well about other industries. It helped me develop my connections, different perspectives that the team brought. I really actually have to say that it was my favorite thing about the diploma was the people that I met on it. And not only that, it was seeing them complete their own projects and then contributing to your project. So it kind of ended up developing into a really positive situation where we were all trying to get through it together and then sharing the learnings that we had with each other, which again, you could say from a cynical perspective, did that really happen? It really did. And there's people on the course that I would happily reach out to within my professional network for future projects that I'm working on, maybe looking for a bit of a different perspective. Um, and also, I have to say, some of the projects that were presented at the end of the diploma were absolutely inspiring in terms of what they completed. And they were really passionate projects, which again, I think allows any participant within the diploma to kind of gain a much more, I suppose, a richer and a broader understanding about design thinking and its applications.
And we mentioned the word empathy being critical to design thinking, Eve, but also, what I found really fascinating, I think you pointed at it there in your answer, was the empathy that the participants built for one another, because we participants from really diverse backgrounds, different levels of experience, different age groups, different genders, different nearly everything. And yet the empathy that people built for one another, I thought was really spectacular. And the way people supported one another was spectacular. And I really value the way you call that out. Is there any sort of moments or highlights, that you can recall, especially around the sort of content or the delivery, when you think back, Eve, that you could maybe tell us a bit about?
Yeah, so the content that really kind of resonated with me. So again, I was a typical scientist. I was black and white, no gray zones. And I always love a good practical story. That's both due to my personality and my training and my career. So the moments that really stood out for me are it was kind of how the flow of the content was put together. So we had a lot of theory sessions basically. And then really what cemented the whole course for me was the guest presenters that came in and kind of went through their practical application and the projects that they worked on that in nearly all instances had different benefits and different learnings and different professions, but really it showed the universal characteristics of the design thinking journey and how it can be applied across any different type of project or career, and then showed the benefits in different ways. And that's all the way from art, um, and the unique attributes there to IT systems and engineers and everything and anything in between. And that for me was really the crystallization moment of the project, or of the diploma, because it showed not just theories or ideas, it showed the application for it, and you can see the benefits. And I think then that spurred you on almost to see if you can apply those benefits within your own profession. Um, and again, I think those moments were really kind of the best moments for me on the course. Fridays, Friday
Yeah.
afternoon.
I know you're doing a project, obviously for a commercial company, and there's only so much that you can say. And I know it has been a very valuable project for your own organization. Is there anything at a high level you can tell us about it?
Yeah. So basically, my organization is based in Ireland, and most of the employees are actually based within a specific region and would have met very frequently face to face. And then all of a sudden, in the 13th of March 2020, we were all sat home with our laptops in tow and expected to continue on life as normal in a way. So productivity improved as part of our company, but one of our big challenges was around how we maintain the rapport, the creative ideas, the creative zone that we used to do very frequently in person, but in a virtual setting. So for us, for me, I suppose working, I really wanted to apply that empathetic design thinking process or plan to see how we could improve or develop basically a framework for optimizing engagement and participation in a virtual innovation workshop setting in order to help us as a company to improve and maintain our innovation rate. And that's really, it was centered around, okay, well, we're now in a remote working setting. That isn't by choice. And that's resulted in huge changes, both in terms of how we communicate and how we innovate. So I wanted to really see how we could apply basically an ADR, an action design research approach, to optimize basically a framework that could be used to improve these virtual innovation workshops, and then develop this as an agnostic model so that it could be used across the business no matter what we were trying to solve. So really the outcomes for me for the project were developing an agile and a practical method for creating and running virtual innovation workshops that are relatively low fidelity and also flexible enough that they could be used across any business setting. So it's gone quite well, and it's something that we've adopted as a business, which is great. To show the practical nature of it.
So, Eve, are there any final words, words of wisdom maybe you could impart to anyone that's thinking of taking up this program in the future?
I couldn't recommend the program highly enough. And again, I probably would say that you should go into it as much with an open mind as possible. It was something that was quite new for me. Because of the structure and the design, it allowed me to have a flexibility to complete the diploma. Um, and also allowed me to kind of dip my toe in something that I thought I was interested about and could further develop. So I'm quite interested in continuing on with my exploration of design thinking, even considering a master's at this point. But I would say the time spent with people on the diploma will pay back dividend. The different perspectives and open-mindedness that you gain as part of this, and the experience and the exposure in terms of universal skills that are transferable, I would say, to nearly any career, are it's very practical in its nature. So I really would recommend this diploma, being totally honest with you, for anybody who's considering it, just go for it. It's very worthwhile.
Yeah, thanks a million, Eve. Eve, Garmil Maha good. I know you're a very busy woman and you've taken the time out to help us with this. So I'd just like to say a special thank you, Eve.
No problem, anytime.